Jalen, is he good for me?
He is. He is. Yeah.
Cleared and everything?
Yep. Yep.
Tom, assuming you saw the reports about the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, is there something you can say about that?
Can't comment on it.
What's it like to have a roster switch up or potentially switch up so soon as
I can't comment on it.
Being that you can't comment on a trade, can you talk about what you coach Karl-Anthony Towns, what kind of guy he is?
Good try.
Mitchell Robinson, what do you know about his recovery and how long he will be out for?
There's no real time frame for it other than we want to make sure he's completely healthy before we move forward. So as we get more information down the road, but we're going to be patient and take our time with it.
Is there any do you know if he'll be back this season? Like, do you expect him to be back?
You know, again, I don't want to put any sort of time frame. When he's ready to go, he's ready to go. So he's doing well. I can tell you that, like from, what he's doing right now. And so, again, we're just going to go step by step with that.
Do you know what that is? Is it a no setback thing that's just making sure that he's fully healed this time?
Yeah, I think that's, there's going to be, we have to have patience, just let him work through it, and, then we'll go from there.
In your experience, hypothetically, when you acquire a foundational piece, how long do you anticipate that piece to be incorporated and go to speed?
Well, I think, going into any season, that's normally the biggest challenge is, how quickly, and there's always change. Every year in the NBA, you're going to have some changes, and then how quickly can you get everyone onto the same page? So that's always the challenge. And then you have to be careful when you have a core that's been together that you don't skip over any steps, that you're starting at a zero base. And so you build the foundation first, and then you put your systems in, and you go from there. So, and you need everyone's total buy-in on that, and everyone has to work together.
Do you plan on starting OG and Josh Hart in the forwards?
Yeah, I have some ideas but I'm saying that now before we take a look at everything, and so I want to see how things unfold in camp first before I make a commitment to it. But I have some general ideas.
So how much of a luxury would it be to play 5 out consistently?
Well, I think we did that a lot last year, and I think you have to have versatility to it, and whether you're 4 out, 1 in, that converts into 5 out. And I think it opens up the basket. I think the more shooting you have and understanding, the type of shots and the value shots that you're looking for, and obviously we need as many easy baskets as we can get with the basket open, and then we want to get to the line and we want to shoot open threes, and that's no secret. So I think offensively we were pretty good last year, and I think we can make another step this year.
You guys had a breakthrough season last year, despite a lot of injuries, despite some major changes along the way. Even without the thing that you can't talk about, Hartenstein's gone, Mikal Bridges is in. There's already been dramatic changes even before the thing that you can't talk about. What are the off-season conversations like when you think about continuity and saying, let's give this group a chance when they're finally healthy and have a full season together versus opportunities to make major moves? What is the line there? What are the conversations like about that balance?
Well, I think, each season, I think, when you finish the season, you take a deep dive into your team, and then you analyze what you think the strengths and weaknesses of the club are, and then you plan accordingly going forward all summer. So and the first step is the draft, and then you have free agency, and then you have trades. And so, and you're never content. You always want to try to improve, and when opportunities present themselves and you feel like it can improve the team, you want to try to take advantage of that. And I think Leon and his staff have done a good job. They stockpiled the draft capital, and they waited for the right opportunities. And then when there's always risk involved, but I thought it was a well thought out plan.
Brunson pitches back. Do you move him as a starter or off the bench?
And again, I think that you're going to take it step by step. So the first thing is to get him back, and then we'll see where he is, and then I like the versatility of what he gives us, and it's different. I thought we won a lot of games with our rebounding last year, and so we know he's elite. Offensive rebounder, probably the best in the league. Defensive rebounding, rim protection, pick and roll defense. So those are things that he adds to the team.
So often when there's a trade in the season or a coaching change, whatever, everyone always talks about, well, we didn't have a full training camp. We didn't have this group together. What's the importance of training camp of actually, what's so important about having your team ready when the season?
Well, I think, and I do think it's important. I think it's you don't want to skip over anything, any steps, and so you start with your individual fundamentals, and then you go to your team fundamentals. You install your systems. You get everyone to understand style of play, system, and then how you play off each other, and understanding the strengths and weaknesses of all your teammates. And so you want to play hard, you want to play smart, and then you want to play together. And it takes everyone working together, so they have to build chemistry doing that. But I think you're making a huge mistake if you're skipping over any of those steps. You start, no matter what happened last year, you start at a zero base the next season. So you have to build the foundation first. It's step by step. It's a long grind, and you prepare for that. And I always think that you begin with the end in mind. What's it going to take at the end for us?
Tom, the fans are thinking big. What's your message to them in terms of your goals and expectations for this team?
Yeah, I don't think it changes for us in terms of we know we have to go step by step. We're not going to get to the end of the season. So each and every day we have to put everything we have into it, focus in on our daily improvement. And then if we're doing the right things, the results will take care of themselves. And I think for our fans, we love our fans. We have the best support in the league. We have the best arena in the league, best city in the league. Right, so we know how important the team is to them. So we want to give them something that they can be proud of.
Well, with that being said, the expectations are elevated. People are thinking conference spot championship. How are you guys addressing that internally?
Yeah, and I think you don't want to get lost in that. To me, it's just focus in on what we can control, which is what we put into each and every day. And if we're doing that, all that stuff will take care of itself. Obviously, we appreciate that we have the fans that we do, and we're not shying away from anything. We're going to work. That's what we do.
Coach, you mentioned the last couple of years the strengths and weaknesses you go through the sort of off-season premise. Offensive rebounding has been a big one for this team the last couple of years. With the changes in the center room, the center rotation, do you anticipate that still being a real strength for the team? And if not, how do you make up for it?
Well, I think each team is different. So whatever the strengths of your players are, you want to try to take advantage of those. But you also have philosophy offensively of getting the ball into the paint. And usually if you can force a defense to collapse, right, we obviously want as many easy baskets as we can get, so we're going to play with pace. But we want to drive the ball into the paint and force people to collapse, and then that brings bodies off people, and that's what leads to the offensive rebounding. And also leads to kick-out threes and a lot of high-value shots. So that's what we strive for, and we try to work on that every day.
The way that you guys recognize the offensive rebounding is Mitch tends to be closer to the basket than not, or trying it up and be closer to the basket than not. And you guys just have a different roster this year. How much do you like to change that balance of if you have, say, you're playing 5 out, you have all 5 guys spacing in the corner? Do you encourage guys to just space out? Do you want guys to be coming in closer to the basket to recognize the offensive rebounding more? Have you played that?
Yeah, I think that it's, and again, what you're seeing is a lot more people sending their wings to from the corners to the board. So we value that. The thing for us is how do we create more possessions? And so when, obviously with Mitch, it was more traditional. Isaiah played away from the basket quite a bit, and he still was able to get to the offensive boards. And then, we're athletic and we're quick, and we have some guys with unique skill sets. Josh is, can fly in from the perimeter, great anticipation. So, and oftentimes if you have deep penetration, and our offense was inverted the second half of the year, and we may be able to do that again. And, if the guards are inside, we allow them to go as well. So, whatever way we can create those extra possessions, and we want easy baskets. So we're going to do that. And, whether it's offensive rebounding, forcing turnovers, whatever it might be.
Tom, over the last 10 months, you guys have acquired players to kind of help with this offensively, the spread type offense. And you didn't just acquire run-of-the-mill 3 guys, you got 2 of the best. And hypothetically, if you guys got a stretch 5, you'd be one of the best shooters in the league. Obviously, you guys have the means to do so, but how much of Jalen doing what he's done, what he can be, has led you guys going all in on getting kind of the best of the best of these guys?
Yeah, and again, I think when you look at your team and you analyze, okay, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the team and who fits best? So you want to continue to try to add to it, and we know we still have a long way to go. And so if they complement the players that we have, then we want to look at them and try to add those guys and then try to have them fit in and be who they are. I think that's important. I don't want guys to change. I want everyone to understand what their strengths are, play to those strengths, and understand who you're on the floor with and what their strengths are. So I think if you get everyone working together and bringing the best out of each other, not only themselves, that's when you get great team play.
What were your discussions like, Tom, this summer, as far as, when we were healthy last year, we had a team that for a month was killing everybody. Maybe we should bring that team back versus we don't know if they were good enough or not.
Yeah, and again, I think that when your off season is to do a deep dive on your team, and then to also analyze, where you are in the league, and then you understand that the off season is really dedicated to, number one, improving the players that you have on your roster, and then the draft is coming, and you want to add players that you think could add in the draft, and then, as I said, free agency is right behind that, and then trades are happening all the time. There's Leon's constant and his staff constant discussions with all the teams in the league about who might be available, who might not be available, and then we're also taking calls. People, and I think when a team wins, the value of everyone goes up. So, and then you want to. If something makes sense and you think it can improve the team, you want to take a good hard look at it.
Have you talked to Julius?
Keep that private.
It's I don't know if you've ever had a captain on your team before, but what do you think of Jalen becoming captain?
Yeah, I'm a big. I want a team of leaders, and I always think the best leadership is what you do every day. And I've said this to you guys many times. Is like. Jalen's not one of those guys that's going to get up in front of the team and say, you got to do this, you got to do that, but, blah, blah, blah. What you're going to see from Jalen is him coming in early every day, going through his routine, great concentration, great work ethic, team-oriented, all about his teammates. And to me, there's no better leadership than that, So I'm glad that he's been named captain, and he certainly deserves it and all that. But if he wasn't, he'd still be the leader because of what he does. And then we have a number of guys that are like that, and I think that's important. So when you have that and you get that type of commitment from your team, when a new guy comes in or when you get a young guy who comes in, it's a great example for them to follow, and that's how you bring the best out of everyone.
What was it like last season watching Dante step up and then flourish in the role that he was asked to flourish in last season?
I can't comment on that right now.
Coach, I see Tyler Kohler fitting in maybe as a backup point guard this season.
Yeah, obviously, we drafted him. There's a lot of things we like about him, so we're anxious to see him, in training camp, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'd always say the first step for a rookie coming in is to learn how to be a pro, and he's already exhibited great qualities. He's in the gym all the time, a hard worker, coming in multiple times a day. So he'll give himself the best shot possible, and he's already adding value to the team.
How closely did you watch that Pacers Celtics series? And the reporting you all when you watched it, it said everything else when we had done?
Yeah, I'm not like into the like what ifs and all that stuff. So I watched some of it. I can't say that I locked into it or anything like that, but I watched it more as a fan.
All right, two more.
Brad, you you mentioned going over your strengths and weaknesses, sort of breaking down what you just had from last season. What were the weaknesses that you saw? Like, what did you feel like you came up short by the end of the season that you wanted to address over the summer into the training camp?
Well, I think there's always things you can do better. Even, like if no matter what you're doing, if your focus is on that daily improvement, okay, what is it going to take for us to make the next step? And I think, we had a lot thrown at us last year. We persevered through a lot of things. I think we were one of 4 teams that were in the top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency. And so I think we can improve in both of those areas, and that takes everyone working together. So, that's probably the biggest thing is the commitment to remain strong defensively, how we can, continue to improve there. And we know like it's a big transition league, and it's a big pick and roll league. So those are 2 things that we have to lock into immediately in training camp. And then on offense, the same thing. We want to try to get as many easy baskets as we can and create high value shots for each other. I think that's where the focus will lie in training camp.
The extension over the summer, you were one of the longest tenured coaches here in recent memory. That security, what did that mean to you?
That means a lot, and I certainly appreciate Mr. Dolan and Leon and Wes and the front office, their support. And I said this to you guys last year. This is where I wanted to be. So I realize how fortunate I am to be here, and I certainly appreciated it.
Tom,
Last one.
Last year, at some point near the end of the year, you kind of mentioned how there were ways you wanted to use OG defensively, but you just never quite got the opportunity because he was so good in that lineup in terms of like small ball 5 stuff, that kind of stuff. How do you view on using him this year? Are there ways you didn't get to use him that much last year that you leaned into more this season?
Yeah, no, the one thing that I do like is I like the versatility of what we have in terms of when you look at Mikhail, Josh, and OG, because you can use them on the ball and you can use them off the ball. And Josh and OG are very disruptive off the ball in different ways. And then Mikhail is very, very good on the ball. So, and then you could rotate those guys onto the ball, and you're giving guys different looks. So I think in this league, sometimes a steady diet of one guy is not the best way to go. So I think because we can be disruptive that way, I think we could add another element to our defense. But OG has great versatility because it's the size and the strength and the anticipation. And he has great feet. And what it will allow us to do is obviously the switching will be there'll be additional switching that we can do, but you could play OG on size too. You can play him on 5s, and we could play Mikhail on point guard, so that could add a whole different element to our defense.